All right, welcome back to Consultations Counseling, everybody. Once again, my name is Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful state of Utah, and in this video, I'm continuing my series on healing narcissistic trauma. This is going to be an ongoing series on my channel. I don't know how many videos I'm going to make on this. A lot of them are going to be repetitive. It's really important to repeat a lot of these principles so that they stick, so that they understand, so that they get embedded into the brain, into the mind, and come into fruition. This is a tricky subject. This is a tricky area, healing narcissistic trauma. And so again, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that I plan on releasing one of these videos at least once a week. We'll see how it goes, but I'm planning to do it once a week on schedule, probably Sundays, when I'm going to release videos on healing narcissistic trauma. So if this is a topic that's important to you, make sure you subscribe. Helps me out a lot. You know what to do. Hit like, hit comment, comment, share the video. You know what to do. If you're new here, my name's Scott Carter. I'm a licensed therapist here in the beautiful state of Utah. I am a mental health professional. I've been in mental health for 20 years, and I see a lot of what I believe, what I find, and what I consider to be consistent with what we would just call narcissistic trauma. There's a cluster of behaviors. I made a video on that, signs of narcissistic trauma. Go check that video out. In the last video, I talked about why typical therapy has not really helped or done a particularly good or effective job in helping narcissistic trauma. If I'm super duper honest too, I find that a lot of therapists too have had narcissistic trauma. And people that have narcissistic trauma often get pigeonholed into a caretaking role. And that's something to consider, by the way. Are you a caretaker? Do you feel compelled to be a caretaker? Are you relentlessly pursuing caretaking type of professions because you feel like that's what gives you a sense of worth or value in the world? I highly discourage a lot of people from pursuing caretaking types of jobs and professions, particularly for those reasons, is because it's tried to meet some sort of sense that this is what will prove my worth. But anyways, so in this video, in terms of healing narcissistic trauma, HNT is is going to be the acronym. Okay, I'm gonna start building some of the foundational framework here to change this. And I know that a lot of people will go to a therapist and for example, I'm just giving an example here. And a therapist may say something like, you need to learn to love yourself. And people are like, okay, how do I do that? So one of the purposes of this series is to help lay out some of these roadmaps on how to do things like practice self-love, the mental tricks, the mental exercises, and the practices. Okay, here's what you need to know, first of all, right, is that if you want to do this, if you want to change your mind, if you want to get through this narcissistic trauma, if you want to stop attracting them, if you want to stop feeling like a doormat, if you want to stop being self-sacrificing and always living in that place of fear and low self-esteem, one thing that you have to understand is everything that I talk about and everything that I'm going to give in this series of videos, it takes practice. You must dedicate yourself to, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do this stuff. And I would recommend doing some of this stuff every single day. If you don't already have a notebook, I sometimes have one handy that I can reach and wave around as a visual aid. It's outside of my reach. It's on the floor over there. But if you have a notebook, if you have a journal, you may want to take notes. You may want to write some of this stuff down. You may want to just start creating this framework and putting this stuff into practice every day. A lot of people, by the way, they will be resistant towards some of these approaches simply because it seems off. It seems different. It seems weird. It may seem counterintuitive, but I find counterintuitive is counter habit. But I also find that a lot of people that have narcissistic trauma are self-sabotaging. So let's get into this. Let's get into start building some of these skills. I highly recommend taking some notes. Let me get some housekeeping out of the way first. If you're new here, obviously, please hit subscribe button. Help me get to my first 1 million, man. I'm super duper close. Man, I'm knocking on the door of 1 million. So hit subscribe, share, like, all of that stuff. Help me out. If you really like my content, you really want to keep this going, hit the tip jar. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, all those links are in the description below. If you have a specific viewer question, scottc at saltcitycounseling.com. Also, go check out my new website, highconflictcommunity.com. Link is also in the description below if you're going through a high conflict divorce or custody. My online courses are up there for communication, parental alienation, co-parenting, and court stuff. There will be more courses to come, so make sure that you stay tuned. I'm hoping to get those up here, some of those other courses up in the near future. So let's get into this. So when it comes to healing narcissistic trauma, here's what you really, really have to understand is that the narcissist or the narcissistic ways, and I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like we're inundated this by social media. So there's a lot of narcissism I find on social media. It's why I can't stand it. It's why I avoid it like the plague. It's why I deleted it. I still have like my business accounts up. I'm never on Facebook. I don't use them. The narcissism on those platforms is going to be triggering. It's going to be like a maintenance behavior. Think of a maintenance behavior like if you were to recover from alcoholism, for example. Sometimes alcoholics would just spend for maybe they just stay at home at night by themselves, and that's when they would usually drink. So the maintenance behavior would just be staying home alone at night, right? So they're more likely to drink if they engage in the maintenance behavior. So instead, they should go out at night. They should go find an activity. They should go do something else, right? So maintenance behaviors to me for narcissistic trauma, the most obvious one is spending time on social media. The comparisons that happen are triggering, right? And so here's what you have to understand. I know that everybody with narcissistic trauma relates to one primary trait, okay? And that is that their personal character has been destroyed, has been decimated. That the nature of the narcissist is basically like they will find everything, every tiny little perceived mistake, and just grind you out, just destroy your character, destroy your identity over it, make you feel small, tiny, and worthless over even pretty tiny minutiae, right? And so what we want to do is kind of reverse this. What happens in the process, okay, this is what's important, is that you get into a state of mind or state of consciousness that is frantic, that's always defending itself, that's always guarded, that's frantically trying to solve it, that's frantically trying to do the right thing, that runs and runs and runs on this exhausting hamster wheel. I call it the frantic desperation. It's the overthinking mind. Okay, now pretty much everybody that has had any type of narcissistic programming, narcissistic trauma in their lives can relate to this. Okay, so I want you to take notes on the overthinking mind. Okay, what is it? Observe it. You must learn to observe it. You must recognize when it's there first. Okay, you must be able to recognize, okay, this is that overthinking that Scott was talking about. This is that frantic desperation that Scott was talking about. This is the desperate I'm scared mind that is constantly in the driver's seat because there was a narcissist in my life. Okay, again, if you're on social media, that part of your mind is going to trigger and it's going to be in the driver's seat. So the trick is here, to me, we want to be able to, okay, it's all right. You know, if this is a separate entity, try to see this overthinking, frantic, desperate mind as not you, but almost like an extension of you, or maybe someone else entirely, like a different being, a different entity. And when I put it in this context, I've had people even tell me, like, it literally feels like something that's not me is within me. Okay, and what we have to realize is that person is not you. This small, frantically desperate, scared, the frantic person is not you. It is maybe an extension of you, but it's separate from you. The real self is whom we want to install instead, right? We want to take the frantic, desperate self. Okay, you can let go of the wheel now. Take your foot off the gas. Gonna be okay, all right? We're gonna do this together, and pull it out of the driver's seat, man. Slowly, and put what we want to do in the long run is put like a real self into the driver's seat. Now, I know that everyone that has that narcissistic trauma, I should come up with it, just sort of a short reference name. I'll come up with one. They will say, I don't know who that real self is. Well, consider this. You're not really in touch with that real self because the frantic self has been frantically doing its thing for too long. The real self does exist. It's there, I promise you. You just have to trust that it's going to be there. Okay, consider that this frantic brain, the frantic, desperate brain, is exactly the brain that A had attracted the narcissist, B enabled the narcissist, C kept the narcissist in their life, and D allowed the narcissist to remain like mentally in charge, right? Because even if you completely extract this person from your life, they're still controlling you. If you really think about it, you're still playing small. You're still afraid. You're still apologizing for everything. You're still scared. You're still afraid to make mistakes. You're still afraid to see those people or have other people see those mistakes. They're still controlling you. Even if they're completely gone, they're still controlling you because that frantic brain is still running, right? It's like a machine that's still running even if you take the battery out of it, right? So what we want to do, again, is realize that the frantic brain is the problem. Okay, Albert Einstein said that we can't solve problems with the same mindset that created those problems. Okay, so if you try to solve this issue of the narcissistic trauma and the decimation of the destruction of your character and destruction of your identity with the same mindset that helped create that problem, you're never going to get there. So what we want to do again is start to create another self, so to speak, to almost put into the driver's seat. Now, here's the thing: is if you really want to get this turned around, when I say practice, we have to start building a new mindset. You have to have the proper awareness of there's a frantic brain, and now we need to start building a new mindset, a new self, a new strength, a new someone, a new something, right? A new way of approaching this. And so with all of that, here's your homework. Start meditating. Meditation is the single most powerful thing I have ever done in my life to combat mental illness and to mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually heal myself. Even physically. Meditation is healing. It will help heal you. Now, these frantic types, they always tell me, I can't meditate because my mind is too noisy. And my answer is, no, your mind is noisy because you don't meditate. And the other part of this is people are afraid to do it wrong. That's the narcissistic trauma kicking in, folks. The narcissistic trauma says, if you can't do it right, if you can't do it perfect, the first time even, don't do it at all. You are a failure, right? If you don't do it right the first time, then you are a failure. So if you can't do it perfect, don't do it at all. That is a myth. That is a lie. That's an evil, insidious, ugly paradigm that a lot of us ended up adopting, not deliberately, okay? So with that, start meditating. Learn to meditate. It's a process. It's a practice. You have to practice. You have to understand that doing it wrong is doing it right. I've also told many people, there's nothing in this world that you can't do correctly without doing it incorrectly first. So you can't do it right until you do it wrong first. So you can't get it right until you get it wrong. You must get it wrong before you can do it right. So therefore, doing it wrong is doing it right. And so I want you to write that down, okay? If you're watching these videos because you want to heal this trauma, take out your notebook. Doing it wrong is doing it right. And that's going to, the frantic brain is going to be like, no, it's going to throw a fit. That means that we're heading in the right direction. Okay, the resistance is an indicator, right, of what the narcissist would tell you. And the narcissist is wrong. They lie about everything because they live a lie. They're a walking contradiction, okay? So I'm going to end this video because it's going a little bit longer than I typically like these to be. But write that down. Doing it wrong is doing it right. My brain is noisy because I don't meditate. Learn to meditate. And people might go, well, how do I go about doing it? Folks, you are the age of the internet. All the information is available to you. All of it. Well, pretty much all of it. It is easy to find some material on meditation. 5 minutes a day. Start 5 minutes a day. I could do a video on it too. I also have some videos on it over at my other channel, Wisdom and Brews. Okay, that's going to do it for this one. Okay, do this stuff every day. Start meditating 5 minutes a day. Practice mindfulness 5 minutes a day. That's your homework. Go do some mindfulness. Okay, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.